society? In what ways have these rights been particular importance to women and minorities? Although First Amendment rights are considered essential in a constitutional democracy, it is sometimes argued that these rights must be limited. Under what circumstances, if any, do you think limitations are justified? Please explain your answer.
First Amendment rights have been viewed as an essential to the functioning of a free society. The rights of freedom of expression, assembly, petition, speech, and of the press promote individual growth and human dignity. It is important for the advancement of knowledge, which is a necessary part of the representative government. Individual growth and human dignity are an essential part because concerning morality, politics, or anything else is part of individual freedom. The right would be meaningless without the freedom to speak and write about opinions, and without the freedom to test those opinions by comparing them to the views of others. Freedom of expression is important for the advancement of knowledge because it allows new ideas to develop in a community that allow for free discussion. The British philosopher John Stuart Mill said, "Progress is possible only when all points of view can be expressed and considered." Freedom of expression is a necessary part of representative government because the United States government responds to the will of the people. If the people are to instruct the government properly, they must have the correct information, ideas, and various points of view. Freedom of expression is crucial to both determine policy and to oversee how well governments carry out their responsibilities.
Women and minorities have used the rights guaranteed by the First Amendment to obtain the rights of full citizens. These rights include the right to assemble, of free speech, and of expression. Though white men have been able to vote since before the Constitution was signed, women did not have this right. Women began to protest and assemble in order to gain suffrage. They began to gain referendums which got women the right to vote on the ballot in Western states. Because of their actions, the 19th Amendment was passed, giving women the right to vote nationally. Unlike other amendments, the 19th Amendment was started at state level and was brought to the national level in 1920.
There are circumstances throughout U.S. history where the U.S. government had to limit the rights granted by the First Amendment. Laws put in place that limit the First Amendment would include laws against false advertising, incitement of crimes, obscenity laws, defamation laws, and laws for time, place, and manner, as well as laws against revealing government secrets. The laws against false advertising are good for the people because this forces companies to stay true in their advertising because blatantly lying to the people is never a good thing. And in some cases it just saves the people money, but in other cases it can protect the people from real danger. In the case of obscenity, laws are made by the community as to what is wrong and what can and cannot be said. And the laws vary by community. In the case of defamation, laws are needed because where there are no laws of this kind, one author of one newspaper could ruin someone's life, get them fired, and even prevent the person from ever going into certain fields. In the case of time, place, and manner, the laws are better for the people because it allows for noise ordinance laws. The laws against revealing government secrets may not be good for the people directly, however, it is for the safety of the nation as a whole. As George Washington once stated, if freedom of speech is taken away, then silent and dumb we may be led like sheep to the slaughter.
Thank you. Now we have some follow-up questions that we're going to ask, so Grossman, you want to start?
Would a law restricting the amount of money an individual or group can give to a political party or candidate violate the First Amendment? Why or why not?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Certainly. Would a law restricting the amount of money an individual or group can give to a political party or candidate violate the First Amendment? Why or why not?
I don't believe that giving money to a specific organization or restricting their money would violate the First Amendment because under the First Amendment, it covers the rights to freedom of speech, religion, assembly, petition.
To build off of what my colleague said, the court case McCachion, I believe, versus Federal Reserve, I believe, ruled that there is no limit on what a person can donate towards a specific member of a party in the way of campaign funding.
Thank you.
Should those who work for the federal government or in the U.S. military be protected under the First Amendment to advocate anti-democratic ideas? Why or why not?
Supreme Court case Garcetti versus Cabellos ruled that in reference to using your freedom of speech for your political job, it is not protected in the way of politics because the right to free speech was intended to protect the people from the government and not government officials from the government. So at least according to the ruling in that case, it would not be right if you are using your freedom of speech in that case to push a political agenda of sorts that would be against the nation.
And to build off what my colleague said, a current event for this would be how Donald Trump tweets what he believes and how the Muslim ban, he wanted to push that, and that shouldn't be okay.
Thank you.
Would a state policy that allows government to subsidize student tuition at a private religious school violate the First Amendment's Establishment Clause? Why or why not?
The Supreme Court case, Santa Fe Board of Ed versus Doe, had ruled that essentially the state could not subsidize those schools and give them money essentially to pay their teachers if the teachers, even if the teachers were teaching the public curriculum using public materials and the public textbooks, based off the fact that Santa Fe Independent School particularly was a Catholic school, so they deemed that would be in violation of the Establishment Clause.
And to build off what my colleague said, such as Minogue and how they are a Catholic school,
Should the right to association be interpreted to mean that organizations cannot impose any limits on their membership? Explain your position, please.
Well, it's my belief that in the case of the First Amendment, it protects the right to assembly, and it doesn't protect the right of all people to be members of an organization. Essentially, it protects assemblies from the government and protects people from the government preventing them from assembling. So they should be able to decide who is and who is not in their groups.
To add on to what my colleague was saying, I also believe that people should be restricted, certain people should be restricted from joining assemblies, because if you don't have the right credentials or even like a criminal background, you could potentially damage that assembly.
and to build off what my colleague said, if the president wants to elect someone to his assembly, they have to be the right fit for the job.
How far, though, you said certain people can be restricted. Picking up from there, you're indicating that certain members might be restricted if it has some correlation to the job or the group. Faith-based restrictions, ethnic-based restrictions, race-based restrictions, would you incorporate those to limit membership?
Yes, I would incorporate those to limit membership, because you do not want someone racist as your assembly because it looks bad on you. So,
To build off of what my colleague is saying, essentially it would depend on the group that is making the restrictions, based off the fact that if a Christian group, in the case of a Christian group, they should be able essentially to restrict people who are non-Christians from joining the group because the group is designed for Christians.
A current event that could apply to this would be President Trump's appointment of Talley to the Supreme Court, even though he has never tried a case.
What about controversial groups like neo-Nazis, radical Islamists, and the KKK? Should they have to pay for extra police protection when organizing at a political rally? Why or why not?
I would believe that it would be the police's job to protect them regardless of...
Is that time? If you want to go ahead and finish.
I'll go ahead and finish. The police should protect them regardless of whether they are posing a danger or not, and they shouldn't have to pay extra for the police protection because it's still a group and it is the police's job to protect the people. However, in cases such as the groups you had mentioned, many of these groups, when they assemble, there are injuries and there are deaths and there are riots, and it would be wise to try to avoid these by not granting the permission for these groups to assemble at the city level.
Perfect. Give everybody a round of applause. So we'll give some feedback, starting with Judge Smith.
I think all of you guys look very nice, very professional today. You did a good job with eye contact. That was very important, I think. So congratulations.
I thank all of you, and I hope that your family and supporters understand this. You did a really nice job with what is my favorite unit of all of the units, but it's also, I think, one of the most difficult units for you to know. The breadth of what we ask you to know just to discuss Unit 5 is pretty exhausting. And to be able to articulate and hold your own with arguments on issues that we have been arguing for hundreds of years, arguments that are still just as politically sensitive as they were hundreds of years ago. This is a really difficult, meaty, fun topic, but you carry a lot of weight when you do this unit, and you did a really nice job in articulating your positions. And you dug deep for some of the answers, so it's obvious that you certainly know certain things about the First Amendment. So I hope you feel really proud of what you accomplished.
Yeah, first off, great job. You know, one thing they tell the judges is that we are supposed to listen, and you're supposed to tell us what you know. We're not supposed to tell you what you don't know. And I think demonstrative of that is there are a few things I learned today. Quite honestly, the case you're referencing, it's FEC, the Federal Elections Commission. So don't worry about it.
Yeah,
Close enough. Anyway, time, place, manner, that was great. And I just say, I learned going in that sophomores,
Yes.
that's seriously lifting for sophomores. So great work, guys. Really, really enjoyed it. So, anyway, good luck to the rest of the crew as we go forward.
Congratulations.
Thank you.